Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial. Um, in today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at grouping and IDs, grouping with IDs and classes. Now, what grouping with IDs and classes is talking about is that if you look at in our previous examples, if you look at let's say for example when we defined classes for the li tag, if you remember. If you look at our HTML file, you realize that we have different li tags. We have this first set of li tags, three li tags here, right? And then we have about how many? Maybe six li tags in this section, right? Then we have about five li tags here. So we're looking at a situation where you want to define classes for certain li tags and not all the li tags. So this brings us to what we call groupings of elements with either class or IDs. So there are two ways you can group elements. You can group elements using the ID, you can group elements using the class. However, the class is widely used and most convenient for CSS. The reason being that ID is one of the attributes that is being used by JavaScript, and JavaScript wants an ID to be unique per element. Okay, so we're gonna look at what could we have done, to affect to style this li different from these li's, right? So using IDs and classes. So now when we say IDs and classes, we are just referring to the ID. For example, if you say ID using the ID attribute, then you give it what? A name. Let's say ID, let's say methods, for example. Okay, now what we're saying is that when we give ID methods to these three LIs, we can make method our selector by creating li hash methods. Now what this means is that these properties that have been defined here will not affect all the LIs except those LIs that have an attribute ID as methods, right? So any li tag whose ID attribute is method, then this CSS styles will be applied to those tags. Only the tags that have a property of ID, right? So hash means ID, and that ID is set to what? Methods. So any li tag, not any tag right now, just any li tag, because you have attached li here. However, if I had done something like this, say hash methods, then this is like global ID, right? What that means is that it can be applied to any tag. I can just write a p tag, ID is equals to methods, and whatever CSS definition I have here will affect that tag. For example, if I say color purple, for example, right? So if I go to any tag at all, and I give it an ID as methods, then this CSS definition will be applied to that. Now, the reason is that this is general, is global, right? You can apply this to any tag. So don't forget, hash means what? ID. So hash means that you are gonna give these methods to an ID attributes. In order to apply the CSS definition within this close, open and close bracket to a tag, right? So let's quickly demonstrate that. Okay, the first thing to demonstrate, if you look at this, this is already done. This one is saying that I want only the li tag. So this method, this id methods will affect only li tag. Why? Because it has been tied to li tag, right? Okay, so let's just refresh our page. So refreshing our page, you realize that the li tags for methods have been are the ones that have been affected. If you look at it, right, you can see the li tag for the methods are the ones that have been affected. So now, what if I go? What if I give this p tag, or no, this h1 tag, and I say id is equals to methods? What happened? It will automatically apply, the other global class that is not tied to a specific or a unique tag will be applied to this, right? So if you look at it, id is equals to method, so it's applying this one, the one that is not tied to a tag, right? Aha. So then if I want to define, let's say, a different a different method, a different ID for these CSS classes, right? This one is talking about font, so I can decide to create. So I can decide to create a different, I'll say li hash, maybe fonts, then open braces, close braces, then whatever CSS, let's say pink. So whatever CSS definition that I have here, okay, let's see, I want to specify font, okay, let's see, 924 pixels, and consolas, for example. Okay, so this font ID that I just created using the hash, I'm gonna give it to the next set of li tags, which is this one. So I'm just going to say okay, by the way, I can just do this automatically like this. Okay, so I just press Control D to highlight similar characters. So I highlighted less than sign and li. So if you look at it, only the opening tags will be highlighted, and so then I started editing, right? So good, I can edit all of this at once by giving them fonts. Okay, now what's going to happen is that it's going to apply, this definition here, because those li tags have an id called font. Okay, so let me refresh the browser. So you're gonna see this, you can see that, look at them here, they are all affected. Now, what's the difference between id and classes? You see, a class uses a dot, while an id is being defined with a hash. So that's just the difference. If I say li dot, and I say what's the next set of li tags? Text. Okay, let's say if I say li dot text, open braces, close braces, and I say color is equals to orange, for example, and I'll say font is equals to 900. There's this Korea. Is it like this? Korea, no, I think there's a good something like this. Okay. So now I'm gonna apply that class to this. So the difference between IDs and classes is that when you are defining IDs in your CSS, you use what? Hash. But when you are defining classes in your CSS, you use what? A dot. So if you bring a dot followed by a name, that is a set of character, and then you define your CSS properties in that block, right? So if you use a dot, you're gonna apply those class using what? The class attribute, right? Like this, the class attribute. But if you use the hash, you're gonna apply it using the what? The ID attribute, right? So as I said, classes are widely used than IDs, because they are more convenient for CSS. So if you look at this, look at this. So the classes has been applied. Okay, so that's all about grouping of classes and IDs.